Hey guys, what is going on? So I just wanted to talk about the body scan that I just took, which just kind of reinforces what I talked about in my previous video with my, progress on my bulk so far. I'm going to compare where I was at, what I would consider to be my peak physique and where I'm currently at. And then I'll just kind of touch on where I got in towards the end of my cut, because I think that's very significant to kind of show the progress that I made so far. So I'm going to pop this up here on the screen. At first glance, you might think that this looks, maybe not as favorable from a muscle to fat ratio. I will talk about all that in a second. It'll make a little bit more sense. But on the left here, this is on the June 21st. This is what I would consider to be my peak physique. Now, I was actually able to attain a 196 lean mass number on my bulk on Ecdysterone back, several months ago, but that was when I was in the 230s, right? So at 218 pounds, giving up only 1 pound of lean body mass, especially when you consider some of that could be water, I think this is the best my physique had ever gotten to. And I'm looking to kind of surpass that 196 that I got on my previous bulk on the bulk that I'm currently on. But this is just comparing, what I would consider to be my best physique to where I'm currently at. So added a little bit of fat here. I will touch on that in a second. My lean mass is up 0.5 pounds, which, doesn't necessarily seem like a favorable ratio. Obviously, my weight is up to 222, which that is the heaviest that I've weighed so far on this bulk. But what I really want to talk about, putting those numbers aside, is kind of where I got towards the end of my cut, because that peak physique that I talk about on June 21st, there were actually 3 weeks after that where my physique started to deteriorate to some extent. So I didn't really touch on this too much just because the body scan that I took gave me a pretty low number for my body fat percentage, which I don't think was accurate. So in terms of this, measuring device that I use to measure my body fat, obviously these are all estimates, guys. I don't take any given number and act like, oh, this is the number, right? But I've consistently been able to maintain a lean body mass number of around 195, 196. That's kind of the peak that I've been able to achieve. So if I were only to be able to get that one time, I wouldn't put too much weight on that. But considering I've gotten that number several times, I think that's, a pretty accurate place where I was at. So the one score that I never actually really showed on this channel was when I hit 209 pounds. And that's when I decided to go for my bulk. And the reason why I didn't talk about it is because it showed me a body fat percentage that it was like 7 point something, which I definitely don't think I got to that level. But I do think I did reach like just barely single digits. So I think I was somewhere in the 9s, right? I don't know exactly. These are all estimates, but what it said there for my lean body mass was that I was at 193. So basically from that time, June 21st, until when I reached 209 and I reached that 7% body fat, it said on there that I lost 2 pounds of lean mass, which that was the first time in my cut that I had actually lost lean body mass. And considering a 7% body fat, which I 100% disagree with, considering that was an underestimate of the amount of body fat that I had, that extra 2% probably would have been either, it just would have been lean body mass, right? Anything other than fat. So that would have been water, that could have been muscle. So that's bare minimum saying I lost around 2-ish pounds of lean body mass, probably lost a decent amount more than that. So that's what really scared me, especially considering my performance in the gym was going down. And so it just really led me to believe that I was, from June 21st till July 11th, which is when I started my bulk, led me to believe that I was pissing away my muscle, which was obviously something that I didn't want. Now, I accepted the fact that I was probably going to lose muscle over the course of my cut, but to my surprise, that didn't really happen. And I actually ended up only losing 1 pound of lean body mass from, the pinnacle of the most lean body mass I'd ever had on my bulk with Ecdysterone to what I would consider to be my, best physique ever at, June 21st. So over that entire cut, other than the last 3 weeks, I only lost 1 pound of lean body mass. and I was very happy with that. So once I started to kind of piss away my muscle, or at least just, my performance was going down, I was losing weight at a very significant rate. If you look at the 218 number versus 209, I lost 9 pounds in 3 weeks. That's very unhealthy. I think it makes a lot of sense that I could have lost muscle in that time period. I was getting very impatient. It was the first time that I'd ever experienced like really disliking being in a deficit. For the most part, I was totally fine being in a deficit, and I just really wanted to speed up the process. I was not having a good time. My mental health was just not the greatest being in that severe deficit. I just wasn't very happy. And so I wanted to speed up the process. So like I said, it probably pissed away at the very least probably 2 pounds of muscle, but potentially even more. I don't really know, just because lean body mass does not necessarily equate to muscle. But in that regard, I think things were getting pretty bad. So I decided to start eating again. Obviously, I gained a lot of water back, gained some fat as well. And I've actually rebounded all that muscle that I've lost. Plus I've added, if you look at that comparison, added about a half a pound of lean body mass from where I was at my peak physique, what I would consider to be peak at 218. So yes, 4 pounds heavier, added only a half a pound of lean body mass, but considering I'm already recovered from that muscle that I kind of lost, and I'm within about half a pound of the maximum level that I achieved when I was about 10 to 15 pounds heavier, well, that leads me to believe that, I have a lot of room to work with. And considering I'm only 1 month into this bulk and I plan to bulk for around 6-ish months, I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to try and build that weight slowly up over time, and hopefully reach a new all-time lean body mass score above 196. So just kind of showing that progress there in terms of, potentially where I kind of lost muscle. One thing that I kind of touched on, I was starting to have shoulder issues towards the end of my cut, just because I was benching so much. It was taking a toll on my shoulders. So I got that 375 bench. I wanted to hit a 385 bench, but I just knew that it was too taxing on my body, especially as I was starting to lose even more weight and get in a deeper deficit. So I decided to cut it short at 375 for my bench. And I basically stopped doing like any shoulder stuff, any chest stuff. So considering I wasn't using those muscles to, a significant degree, and then I also wasn't, I was kind of losing weight at way too fast of a rate, then I probably started to lose some muscle in my shoulder area. And the body scan that I just took kind of shows that my shoulders aren't quite back to where they were. So I think I potentially lost a little bit of size in my shoulders, but other areas are kind of coming up. I feel like my back is coming up, my legs. So I'm looking to bring my shoulders back up to where they were and potentially even get them better than where they were at. Improve, obviously, all my lifts. I'm doing all these heavy compounds. I'm just slowly doing that over time, but I don't really have any specific goal in terms of hitting like any strength numbers in any immediate future. I'm looking to do that down the line. I do want to hit a 405 bench at the end of this cut, but I'm not even going to attempt that for months. So we'll see what happens there. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I'll keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.